The residents asked the city for warning sirens before agreeing to rebuild in Paradise. Town officials agreed and started testing the new sirens this summer.
Melissa Crick says there is no right way to deal with the loss. She says recovery is something you have to take one day at a time. And she invites people on Maui to reach out to her and others in Paradise.
Because there is a wealth of knowledge there, and we're happy to share. And Paradise loves you. We understand all too well exactly where you are. Right now, one of the things that is the most healing related to this process is sharing the information, letting folks know if I could go back and do something differently, I would take these steps sooner.
The main thing the Campfire survivors we spoke with want people on Maui to know is you're not alone.
As the school year gets underway in Florida, some teachers say they are confused about how to adopt and adapt to new state laws and standards. Some are still waiting for guidance from their principals or county education leaders on issues like the so-called Don't Say Gay law, which bans sexual and gender instruction in all grades. The measure also bars teachers from using students' chosen pronouns. For more on this, we've called Andrew Spar. He is the head of Florida's Teachers Union, the Florida Education Association. Good morning, Mr. Spar.
Good morning, Michelle. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for joining us. So what are you hearing from teachers about how they are adapting to these new laws and standards?
Well, as I've traveled the state at the beginning of this school year, I've been talking to teachers, and what I continue to hear is that there's a lot of angst and concern and frustration. And some teachers are saying, I'm already so tired with trying to figure out what I need to do that I feel like it's the end of the year and it's just starting. So that's very concerning for a profession that has felt under attack for a while and does not feel valued. And it is what has, I believe, led to one of the worst teacher and staff shortages we've ever seen.
So let's talk about that in a minute. But before we do, is the union doing anything to address some of these difficulties and concerns?
Well, of course, we're continuing to raise awareness, and we've issued guidance to our members on how to deal with some of these laws. But even the guidance we've issued, there's a lot of holes in it because the state just simply won't clarify what's allowed and what isn't allowed. I was talking to a teacher yesterday whose school district gave them the rules. This was a social studies teacher that was color-coded with green, yellow, and red. Green saying these are the part of the rules that you're good with. These are the parts you should be careful with, and the red are the areas you should stay away from. And the teacher said, I don't even know what to do with that. How does that relate to my standards, and how does that relate to what I'm teaching in the classroom? So there is still just an awful lot of confusion. We continue to work to try to get clarity. We've called on the Department of Education to provide clarity, but yet again, the state is refusing to give clarity.
So let's go to this question of the teacher vacancies. The union says that there are about 900 more advertised teacher vacancies now than there were at the start of the last school year. I don't know if you have any way to ascertain this, but do you know or do you believe that these vacancies have something to do with these new laws?
I absolutely do believe this. I've talked to teachers who have left the district. I actually talked to a teacher yesterday who is leaving her school district and going to teach in Georgia. And yesterday was her last day. It's just the start of the school year. And what we're hearing from teachers is that they are frustrated with low and unfair pay in Florida. They're frustrated with these policies and laws that are coming out that are preventing them from teaching. Every teacher I talk to says, just let me teach. I just want to teach. I want to care about kids and help them grow and learn. And I don't think I can do that right now.
But on the matter of these numbers, the state's education department disputes this and says that there are actually fewer teacher vacancies than this time last year, like 10% less, and that Florida's vacancy rate is actually less than the national average. Why is there a dispute over the numbers? Why do they have different numbers than you do?
So what we do is we go to every school district. We do this every year and a half for the last 7 years. We go to every school district's website and look at the number of posted vacancies. And I will tell you, when we look at those posted vacancies, it could be there are more vacancies because the way districts post them. They may post some today, tomorrow, the next day. And so if you look at them at one day, the numbers vary. We don't know how the state got their numbers. They haven't said. They just said these are the numbers, and they're asking people to trust them without being able to verify. So I would just say that, again, we could argue over the numbers, but the reality of it is we have a really bad teacher shortage.
So, really briefly, what kind of conversation do you think we'll be having at the end of this school year?
Well, I'll tell you from a parent perspective, my daughter is in 9th grade, my youngest. She just started high school. She does not have an English teacher to start the year, but this is the 3rd year in a row now that my daughter has had part of the year without a teacher. In 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, there have been times where she has not had a teacher because a teacher left.
That's Andrew Spar. He's president of the Florida Education Association. Mr. Spar, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
This is NPR News.
Good morning. It's 8:19. This is 91.7 WVXU. Coming up this morning, we'll have a talk with Florida Education Associate President Andrew Spar. I actually just heard that one about how teachers and principals are adopting new laws. We'll also hear how Guatemalans vote this weekend in an election that can determine whether the country addresses long-running impunity for its elites or continues to descend into corruption and violence. That's coming up starting in about 15 minutes on 91.7 WVXU. This traffic report supported by Speedway. Things are doing pretty well. Keep in mind it is the first day of school for a number of districts, including Cincinnati Public, so more pedestrians and buses likely. 9 morning weather. Clouds increasing today. Spotty evening showers. The high 84. It's 63.
Support comes from the University of Cincinnati College of Medicine and UC Physicians. From innovative treatments for brain tumors to the most complex spinal and brain surgeries, their physician scientists strive to bring the highest level neurosurgical care to Cincinnati. Learn more at med.uc.edu/indispensable.
Support comes from the Give Them 10 movement and Scooter Good Little Cat, here to answer any question about cats by calling Scooter's Help Center at 1-833-GIVE-10. A cat specialist can give you advice on spaying and neutering, adoption, fostering, cat behaviors, and more. That's 1-833-GIVE-10. On the next Fresh Air, Marshall Project journalist Maurice Chama joins us to talk about music programs in prison. He explores how art and music can help build hope and dignity within prison walls and help us understand the mindset of those who commit crimes and are imprisoned. Join us.
Fresh Air this afternoon at 1 o'clock on 91.7 WVXU. It's 8:21.
Support for NPR comes from this station and from Prompt, with a mission to help students get into their top choice colleges. Prompt's one-on-one application and essay coaching is designed to help students write compelling college essays. More at myprompt.com/NPR. From the Wallace Foundation, working to develop and share practices that can improve learning and enrichment for young people and the vitality of the arts for everyone. Ideas and information at wallacefoundation.org. From Charles Schwab, dedicated to serving clients with 24/7 live support. The people at Schwab are committed to helping clients on their investing journey. Learn more at schwab.com. And from the listeners who support this NPR station.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Layla Falden.
And I'm Michelle Martin. Good morning. In its 20 years long involvement in Afghanistan, the U.S. spent close to $1 trillion. Most of that money went to war fighting, but large amounts also just disappeared through fraud or theft. John Sopko tried to keep track while serving as the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction.
The only thing that really probably remains is the fact that we did influence a younger generation about the values of democracy, the values of a free and open society. And to that extent, that's the hope for the future.
Now, 2 years after the fall of Kabul, Washington is sending aid to another war front, this time in Ukraine. The latest White House proposal would push humanitarian and military support there to more than $130 billion. Our colleague Steve Inskeep asked Salko what Washington should have learned from Afghanistan.
We tend to throw a lot of money at problems, and ignore the fact that we overwhelm a country. Now, in this case, in the Ukraine, we're spending a lot of money on weaponry, and this isn't a bad thing. It needs to be done, but the warning bell is send too much money too fast, and you don't have enough oversight, you're going to have wastage and other problems. The other issue is the corruption issue. That was something that was endemic in Afghanistan, and it is endemic in Ukraine. Now, the good news is that the president of the Ukraine and a number of people around him are trying to do something about the corruption. But it is problematic. We need people on the ground. You cannot do oversight remotely. I don't care what people tell you. You cannot do it. Trust me, I've been doing this for almost 50 years. You cannot do oversight remotely.
Do you have reason to think that some meaningful percentage of U.S. aid to Ukraine is being misspent or stolen?
You can't spend that much money without there being waste, fraud, and abuse. It's just as simple as that.
If you're in the Biden administration, or really any administration, would you perhaps make a calculation that some waste is inevitable and does not matter? If, for example, you need to get $200 million to support the Ukrainian war effort, and even only half of it is properly spent, well, it does some good, it does a lot of good, and it's an urgent situation.
Well, there is going to be wastage. There is going to be pilferage. The question is how much is too much. And also, one of the problems is the amount of very sophisticated weapons that are going in that could be disappearing. We're spending $2.5 billion in military assistance per month. That's 7 times what we spent in Afghanistan at the height. So the question is, where are all those weapons going to end up?
Would you want there to be an Inspector General for Ukraine, as there was for Afghanistan?
Well, there are already, 3 IGs there. My experience is the more the merrier. Why wouldn't you have some additional support? What a great message that would send to the donor community, to the American contractors, to the international players, to the Ukraine, if we created a special IG for Ukraine. We want an efficient way to spend our taxpayer dollars.
Would you argue that your oversight succeeded in Afghanistan, even though the overall mission seems to have failed?
Well, those people we indicted got convicted. Those people who committed fraud that we could find, we punished them. Did it fail? Well, I didn't do the war fighting. I can only bring a horse to water. My job is to present the facts and make recommendations on how to improve things, but I can't take credit for the failure or the successes in Afghanistan. We just stated the facts and made the recommendations based upon them.
John Sopko, Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, thanks so much.
It's a pleasure, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Folks on social media are hyping up a cult classic horror movie from the 80s. But here's the catch. The movie, it doesn't exist.
It's called Supposa, and it is the brainchild of an 18-year-old musician from Oxford, England, named Emily Jeffrey. Just a few nights ago, she made a post on TikTok that said, "What if we created a fake 80s horror movie called Supposa?"
She challenged her followers to comment about it everywhere they could to make people think it was a real film. Why, you ask? Jeffrey says it started as a way to spread her music.
My music is heavily 80s inspired, heavily inspired by the kind of horror genre, I suppose. And so I've always made links to my songs belonging in chase scenes and things like that.
Jeffrey Jeffrey says she can even picture how Zapova would end, and she has the perfect song in mind.
It'd be like the villain. Oh my god, it'd be the villain showing up at the end and like looking up at the camera after you think that they've like died, and then the end credits would roll, and it would be so cool, and then the song plays out as the credits are rolling. That's totally what it would be.
The TikTok that revealed this